Hello my friends, it's Ranger Russ from the Meigs Nature Center, coming to you today from inside of our beach room in our new building. So some of you may recognize, I've done a few programs from this location. Hopefully our transmission is good today. I want to let everybody know we had a fantastic program on Saturday learning about coyotes. Many of you have watched it, but if you missed it, it will be on our website in the Virtual Learning Center. You can also still see it on Facebook, so if you scroll down our Facebook feed, you'll see our coyote presentation. We had people watching from all over the US and Canada, lots of Canada watchers this last weekend, so thank you to everyone that did view that program already. I am going to be doing a special program tomorrow. I have a guest, Mason Trumbull from the DEEP, will be down to talk about what he does within the department. He'll be right here, so we'll do sort of a little interview with Mason Trumbull, so hopefully you can all tune in. That is not going to be at our regular time. He can't come down until 1 o'clock, so look for us to start 1:15. I'm hoping to be able to start. If he's a little later, we'll go between 1:15 and 1:30. So please stay tuned for that program tomorrow. Now I do want to let everybody know you can come hiking at Hammonasset. The Nature Center is closed, but that doesn't mean that Hammonasset isn't still a great destination, or any of Connecticut state parks. And the DEEP, the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection, who watches over that park, these parks, have a special message that they would like me to let you know. And that is, you still need to wear a mask even if you're outside. If you are getting near other people, you need to put a mask on. You still need to keep social distance, still need to wear a mask, still need to wash your hands regularly, all of those precautions. Even if you have the vaccine, you still need to do all of these things because we're protecting the people around us, not necessarily ourselves, but everyone around us as well. So please maintain all of those guidelines that we've been doing for this entire pandemic. Now, today's program, we're coming to you from the beach room because I've got some mounted animals that we're going to look at. I've done a few programs about invasive species, and you can look at those at meigspointnaturecenter.org in the Virtual Learning Center. We've done specific invasive species, and we've done invasive species as a group. I think I called that Under Invasion, so look for that program. But there's still a lot of confusion out there, and I see it in the questions that are being asked, what the difference between an invasive species is and any species that isn't from Connecticut. Now, I did a program on the monk parakeets, and you could see in that program, they are, some consider them invasives. I don't really think they are, because to be an invasive species, you have to be harmful to the environment. It's not just that you're not from this area, from this environment or habitat, it's that you're harmful to the place that you are. And although monk parakeets are definitely a nuisance, they will nest on power lines and cause power outages, they are not harmful to the habitat. So I don't really consider them invasive. If someone out there has some reasons why they're harmful to the environment, I'd be happy to hear that. Some other animals that are not native to Connecticut, but are also not considered invasive, we have the black vulture now is found in Connecticut. Now that bird expanded its range on its own. It wasn't human influence. It wasn't transported by people. It just gradually has expanded its range over the years. The coyote is another animal that has expanded its range all on its own. The cattle egret is now found in Connecticut in the summertime. They originally are from Africa, and they migrated or were transported across the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, on their own. It wasn't humans that transported them, it was storms that blew them to South America. From South America, they expanded and gradually have expanded up from South America to Florida and then gradually up the East Coast until we now have them here. Now, it's still different because when an animal naturally expands its range, it's a gradual process. It's not, boom, here's an animal, we're dropping it in. It quickly expands its range and quickly harms the habitat. The black vulture, the cattle egret, even the coyote, it's been a gradual expansion, and the animals, the habitat that they're going into has been able to adapt gradually over time to this new species coming into the area. So these are all things that we need to keep in mind when we're talking about invasive species. Now, in the past, I did a program on the ringneck pheasant. Again, you can find that in the Virtual Learning Center or on our YouTube channel. And if you visit our YouTube channel, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. So this is a bird that we do have in Connecticut, but it really doesn't have a breeding population, or at least not a strong breeding population. They are released so that they can be hunted. And as often as they are hunted, there are those that get away. So those that get away, some of them are able to survive the winter. Occasionally they will reproduce on their own. But the ringneck pheasant is an exotic animal found in Connecticut and not very commonly. The main animal that we're going to be talking about today is the chukar. Now, I realized this was actually a donation, a recent donation to the Nature Center. And when I saw it and started telling the staff and volunteers at the Nature Center what it is, nobody had heard of it. So let's talk about the chukar. This is another animal that is introduced to be hunted. Most of them do not survive our winters. But again, a few might be able to survive the winter, but mostly when you see a chukar, it's an escapee from or it's avoided being hunted. These animals are originally from Eurasia, and they have been spread around the world by hunters. As they're released and survive, then they're able to reproduce. So England has them now. But the breeding populations, the strongest breeding populations outside of Eurasia, their native habitat, are in the southwestern United States, Hawaii, and the southernmost large island of New Zealand. They are now breeding populations there. And that's because those areas are more like their native habitat. So in Connecticut, we're not like their native habitat at all. These birds usually live in places without trees. These are mostly on the ground. They will fly to escape predators, but mostly this is a ground nesting, ground feeding, ground living bird. One of the cool things about chukar, when they are very young, before they have fledged means learn to fly, before they've developed the ability to fly, they will learn to fly by running downhill, flapping their wings really, and getting a little bit of lift. And that's initially how they fly. They're not flying very well, but they can get into the air. It's not considered fully fledged because they can't just take off and fly. But scientists have studied that behavior to great extent because they think that that is evolutionarily the way that birds first learned to fly, and where the method of flight or the ability to fly first began was winged, feathered, quote unquote, dinosaurs would run down a hill and flap, and then they get a little lift and be able to escape from predators more quickly. So that's how the chukar, why the chukar is studied so extensively. Now, I did work at a fishing game club years ago, and they did hunt these. And you think that these birds, would not be able to avoid a hunter. But it's surprising. I would say at least 1 in 4 were able to avoid being shot, at least for the first week or so. So they are very wily birds and are able to avoid being hunted. Now, it is in the partridge family. It's also known as a rock partridge. It lives in rocky areas. a lot of tundra-like areas with, you know, open rocks, not many trees. Another one of their behaviors, this one is the coolest thing to me, so this is going to be the most amazing thing that I tell you, that at least I think the most amazing. When these birds roost, so birds roost at night, and they'll just find a place in the tundra, in the area that they're naturally from. They will just go into this little rocky outcropping or under a bush or a shrub. But they will also get together in a group, and they will stand in a circle with their heads facing out. They'll crouch down, and that's how they will roost for the night. It preserves their warmth. The area that they're from, the areas that they're found are not the warmest areas, especially at night. So they'll get in a circle, and it preserves their body heat, but they all face outward to increase their ability to see predators that are coming and approaching them. So another amazing thing from the animal kingdom, that these birds just know, okay, let's stand in a circle, everybody face out, you look that direction, I'll look this direction, we'll all be good. So really pretty cool that these birds are able to do that. All right, let's see. I see some questions, so I'm going to take a moment here and look back at some of the questions. We just learned that pigeons are actually called rock doves. Yes, they are. There is a group called pigeons and a group called doves, but the thing that we commonly call pigeon is actually a rock dove. I thought that was the most amazing thing. I learned that in my ornithology class years ago. Actually, I want to say it was probably before my ornithology class. I think that my grade school teacher is the one that taught me that one. Steve says it's 68 and sunny in North Carolina. It's sunny here, but nowhere near 68. I say we're about half that. Probably a little above freezing right now, but someone says I've seen pheasants in Detroit. Wow. So again, the pheasant, they're released for hunting. Some are able to survive, and I guess they're able to survive in cities and things as well. All right, let's see. I think I got most of people's questions. I want to thank everybody for your questions and comments. Those always help a program. Usually I'm reading an audience and I get to learn by your questions what direction a program can go. It's a little more difficult just having to read the questions. So I always appreciate feedback. They nest in colonies. My daughter's new favorite bedtime book. You Nest Here. I'm going to have to look that book up. So these will be solitary during nesting season. The rest of the time they get together in, I forget what they call them, covets. But they'll get together in larger groups between 10 and 50 birds for the rest of the year. And many of the partridge, quail, even turkeys, they gather together once the young have hatched. They gather together, and the groups get larger and larger as the young get older and older. Who said? Susan says they form circles like the wagon trains at night to defend themselves. That's a good analogy. And also it might hit 40 in southern Michigan. I don't think we're going to reach 40 today. So Caroline says there was, you know what, I'm going to put my glasses on. In the fall, there was a chucker at the front door in Stafford took photos, but only feathers left the next day, sad. So that's another really good point. One of the reasons that these birds are not able to sustain a population in Connecticut is they have difficulty avoiding our predators. So that ends up being around the world. That's how invasives are able to take hold, is either there are no natural predators for them or they have an advantage over the predators. These birds do not have an advantage over the predators. They have a disadvantage over predators. They're not typically in areas with lots of trees. So that provides a lot more cover for predators to sneak up on them. What other reasons might there be for them? And again, the climate's a little bit different. The terrain is a little different. There's enough food out there. There's shelter, but they're just not that adaptable of a bird to be able to handle that. So yes, that's why very often all you find are feathers, even the pheasants. Same thing. Chucker, they don't chuck anything as far as I know. Actually, I'm not sure how they got their name. Rock partridge, that makes sense. It's in the partridge family and they live in rocky areas, but I don't know how a chucker came into being, unless, so I do know that at the fishing game clubs, what you do when you're putting these birds out, it's kind of sad, but when you're putting these birds out for a hunter, you hold them by the feet, you spin them around, and then you chuck them into a bush. That way they're slightly dizzy and they will actually stay in that bush, and then when the hunter comes along with the dog, it gives the dog a way to pick up the scent. So I know this is not sporting at all. I don't think hunting chuckers or even pheasants. You do a similar thing with pheasants, is you rock a pheasant. So you'll tuck its head under its wing, go like this until it's slightly disoriented, and you put it in the bush. And that way the scent trail begins at a strong point and they're able to track it. So maybe that's why they call it a chucker. Oh, there's a good comment. It might be from the call. I don't know what the call of a chucker sounds like. So I like that. My daughter did a study on kiwi birds today. You should see how they lay their eggs. X-rays of the egg inside. It's crazy. I'm going to have to look into that. I do not know a lot about kiwi, except they're found in New Zealand. They have a beautiful, they're actually a very beautiful bird with I love the zebra-like stripes on the sides, the beautiful necklace on the front. You can see the camouflage of this bird really suits it to its habitat. You know, little scrubby grasses, this would be able to blend in really well. The, dirty, soily, dry soily types where you might find them. Nice long legs for running really quickly. Not fast flyers, but if a ground predator were approaching, they'd be able to get up off the ground and avoid that predator. Sounds horrible. Yes, there's nothing I can say about it. The way they're hunted, I don't know why hunters need such an advantage, or their dogs need to pick up the scent. I would think a dog should be able to find them. But like I said, 1 in 4 of them are avoiding being hunted. So at least then the immediate methods. All right, what else can I tell you about them? They lay 7 to 14 eggs. So it's a high number of eggs, but I'm guessing in their native habitat, those eggs, more of them are able to survive, and in this area, the eggs are not able to survive. I'm sure there are plenty of predators, raccoons, the snake that I'm just blanking on, the eastern rat snake, things that eat eggs. I think that would make these an easy target So I don't think as many will be able to survive. All right. Any other questions? What do they eat? They're seed eaters. So they're eating any of the plants, the seeds left by the plants in the areas that they're found. So again, here in Connecticut, there is enough seed for them to survive on. I think it's more factors as far as predation is what limits them. And they're eaten by just about everything in their habitat. So fox, any of the birds of prey will prey on them. So quite a few things would be able to eat them. And again, here in Connecticut, you know, we've got skunks that would raid a nest, raccoons, even possums. Someone has a question. When they took a field trip to the nature center, they saw eggs in the snake tank. And are they from the blue jays? They're not from the blue jays. They're actually usually from invasive birds' nests that were taken out. So we've got purple martin houses right out the window here. And the house sparrow will go in and lay a nest and take that spot from a purple martin. So if we find a house sparrow nest, we take the eggs, we take the nest completely out and the eggs, and we give the eggs to the rat snake, because they do like to eat eggs, and we try and encourage the purple martins to nest there and discourage the invasive birds like the house sparrows. We used to have a lot of trouble with starlings nesting in there. The house sparrows and the starlings will both kill an adult purple martin, even though the sparrow is smaller. I'm not sure how they're able to, but those are the eggs that you're going to see in the snake tank. All right. Just like when you eat chicken eggs, yes. All right. So I'm not seeing any questions. Again, I want to remind you, if you would like to see our Saturday programs, those are going to be Saturdays at 10 o'clock. We've got some amazing, we've got backyard wildlife. Say that 3 times fast. Sometimes words are tough. Backyard wildlife coming up this Saturday at 10 o'clock. But there are lots of great programs that you'll be able to see. You can go to the meigspointnaturecenter.org, visit the calendar of events. You click on the event you would like, and then it gives you instructions on signing up for the Zoom link. Once you have that Zoom link, you just tune in on the day, and you can watch it. If you can't watch on Zoom, it will be on Facebook Live as well. And then if you miss a program and want to see it after the fact, you can watch them on our YouTube channel and at meigspointnaturecenter.org in the Virtual Learning Center. If you go to the Virtual Learning Center, you're going to get a lot more educational content. So we've got little games you can play, word searches or crossword puzzles. We've got vocabulary lists, lots of other great information. And Steve says the one on coyotes was awesome. It was great. Richard Taylor, he's one of the DEP's Master Wildlife Conservationists. It's a volunteer group that does presentations for our wildlife biologists. So we've got many more of those coming up too. We had another one, Jeannie Apple did one of the programs, and I think they're both coming back to do programs in the future, along with some other master wildlife conservationists. I think we've got another one scheduled. We've got beavers coming up. So these are all great programs. The DEP's Wildlife Division has these volunteers. I don't know that they're doing training currently, obviously, because of COVID, but as soon as COVID restrictions are lifted, check out the DEP, the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection's Wildlife Bureau. See what they've got to offer as far as training. We're always looking for volunteers, so there's a way that you can help out. All right, so I'm not seeing many more questions. Lots of thank yous, so you're all welcome. And I will see you tomorrow again between 1:15 and 1:30. We'll be starting with Mason Trumbull and he'll tell you all about what he does here at the DEEP. So really looking forward to that, and we'll see you all tomorrow. This is Ranger Russ signing off.